I lost 3 pounds, 67, 8. Yeah.
You gotta love it.
I'm like, well, I just need to keep starving.
Stop it. Silver linings.
There's so much to talk about. So much has happened.
So much. God, 2025 can go fuck itself. Can we talk about that?
We're not even.
It's like
we're 6 weeks, 7 weeks into it.
Ugh. Welcome to the ugly truth.
This feels weird.
Welcome back, Steph.
Thank you.
For now.
Yeah. Should we just...
For now. No, you're always the host, but...
No, I'm not. You're the host.
No, I mean, yes, we're co-hosts.
Oh, okay.
But
I always feel like the one running behind you, and like
no,
you lead the charge.
Well, I do lead the show, but we're co-hosts.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not the same without you. Look, Daryl's great, and we have talked...
Every time you're... I don't want to say stuck with Daryl. Every time you have to record with Daryl for prolonged periods of time, we have to go through this.
I will tell you that, well, this is what I was going to tell you about it, is that because, first of all, shockingly, he loves doing the podcast.
Oh, of course he does. It's dedicated, intimate time.
We want to do our own.
You should. You've been saying it for years.
I know. But see, for him, he's like... Whenever he talks about it, I get defensive like immediately because I'm bossy, because I'm the oldest sister, but he's the older brother too. We're both older siblings, which is kind of a weird pairing. Most people don't do that.
Yeah.
So you have these two very strong personalities. So he said, yeah, I think we should do something like Gen X. We should do something about being parents because we had our kids like we were practically children when we had our kids, blah, blah, blah.
Most people, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. He goes, however. And I'm like, what? He's like, I think that I should be in charge of the show.
Oh.
And you be the co-host. I'm like,
absolutely not.
I'm like, oh. He goes, well, I just don't want it to feel like the ugly truth. I want the ugly truth to stand alone. And then this one's got to have a different vibe.
Like Jamie has 2 podcasts.
Right. He goes, I want it to have a different vibe so that it doesn't feel like an addition
like
or
a spin-off of... I get what you mean. Yeah.
It's a spin-off. But I get it. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. And in my mind, I'm like, we'll see how long that lasts. But it's okay. He goes, well, does that mean I get to sit in the chair, the main chair with the board? I'm like, yes. Yes. Of course.
Well, I mean, you know what? You might have a different perspective. You know what I mean? It might be you might draw a different part of your personality.
I actually am looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I've never...
I mean, what the hell do you have to lose?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. And if I hate it, I'll just be a bitch about it. I'll be like, I don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a beautiful thing about podcasts. You know what I mean?
I know. Daryl just sent me...
a fleeting thought. And
he just sent me the trends for 2025 podcasts. Oh. And I'm like, what is it? And it's too long. I can't read it right now, but I'll read it. Because we're always curious. Like, what's the next thing?
Well, podcasts are like fashion. I mean, they just change. They change literally daily,
constantly.
You know?
Like right now, I was just listening to a podcast, and somebody said it's changed so much since we first started.
Yeah.
When it first started, a podcast was in 2 categories. You either were listening to 2 people who had an amazing rapport, which would be me and you. And you were listening with them, like you felt like you were part of the conversation, like you're sitting at a restaurant listening to 2 people talk.
Yeah.
Or someone's super good at interviews and you're listening to an interview. Those were the 2 kinds of podcasts. Now it's like you have to be a you got to be an influencer. You've got to have fans. You have to be a celebrity or something. And I'm like,
that's just the trend right now, though.
I legitimately do not like those podcasts.
Like everybody has a freaking podcast now. If you're anybody, or even if you're like a D-list celeb,
it's like you have to have one. It's part of your portfolio.
Repertoire. Yeah, exactly. I agree.
I think there are some people going, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, and some people aren't that good at it either. You know,
not. There's a reason why they act.
They have all the money and they have all the nice stuff and the thing, and it still sucks.
I know. It's so true. Anyway, with that being said,
but one thing I will say about people, the public, they will listen and do anything for if there's a celeb that they're like into.
Yeah.
I've never understood that. We've talked about that so many times because I don't get weird vibes for celebs. I'm like, they're just people. I literally
worship
don't care. Yes.
I don't get it either. And it actually bleeds into pretty much every aspect of one's life.
It's so dumb.
I don't get it either.
I don't get those people, you know, and they make me mad. And those are the people that make me comment in comments, which I shouldn't do. It's such a waste of time and energy. But I can't help it. I'm like, you are so dumb.
I know.
This lady posted, okay, so you know we love Balin, right? Our Tourette syndrome girl.
I love her.
I love her. I have been following her on social media for years.
Me too.
Long before
when she was in high school.
Yes. Long before she got her show on TLC, obviously.
Yeah.
And this lady, like, now everybody knows who Bailyn is because she has a show. Yes. And I'm so happy for her. God,
I am too.
Thrilled for her. I was reading the comments because I guess a couple of shows have dropped. I haven't watched one yet. I've been so busy.
I do not watch TLC, so it's hard for me to. I mean, everything's on demand now, so I'm sure. But I don't even know if I have the ability to watch it.
I do because I get Discovery because I want. I have to have Discovery ID.
Okay, then I do have
and
it.
They own TLC. Yes, so I could watch it. I just have not. Anyway, long story short, I was reading some of the comments because I was curious to know what people were going to be saying about her and if they were going to be mean, and of course they were. Cruel, not about her Tourette's, but
just the show in itself.
Well, they were, her life is so wrapped with her family because of her disability.
Yes.
She's fully, she relies on her parents are very protective of her.
Yeah,
and now she has a fiance, which is wonderful, but. Her father is super, super, super protective, rightfully so, right?
Oh, yeah. She's so vulnerable to people.
And has been her whole life. So they have been like, the little bears over their little bear cub all these years. And now their daughter's in this national spotlight and she's got this show. And so people were picking him apart and just being so mean about it. He doesn't have to be such a douchebag. He doesn't have to be. And I'm like, you fucking people
don't even know.
Honestly, I'm like,
you don't even know.
I'm like, first of all, how are you going to call her father who loves her more than anything on this planet?
And he's like, I don't give a shit what people think about me.
I'm sure he doesn't, but it's hurtful. For her, I bet
for
probably
her,
hurtful.
she's like, Dad.
She's like, here I am doing this show. It's something for me. It's making me money, and these people are saying the most horrible things about the man that I love more than anything on this in this world. So that made me mad. But anyway, some of the comments, they weren't all like that. But this one lady's like, oh my God, you could tell she was a newly discovered Bailyn lover. Like she just discovered her. And she's like, oh my God, I love her so much. She's so sweet and amazing. And I'm so happy for her with her fiance and blah, blah, blah. She goes, I just really want to meet her. I just really want to get to know her. And I'm like, woman,
She's a young girl.
Like,
what are you doing?
Why? This is a stranger to you. Enjoy it for its entertainment value. You don't need to be besties with this person.
It's so weird. I think they call it.
She doesn't want to know you, by the way.
Psychosomatic relationships or
it's
something
just
like that.
Weird.
Where people, if you're
they idealize people in their mind of who they think they are. Or they,
Well, I mean, you've seen it a million times with like Taylor Swift or whoever. It's like this weird, well, she speaks to me, and it's like she speaks to all of us. That's why she's such an amazing
through
poet.
Her art.
Yeah, she's an amazing poet and songwriter and performer, and we all love her
for that.
And that's it.
And she seems like a genuinely nice person, but I'm never going to know her.
I mean, I don't know her.
She's not going to influence my life,
Beyond what I listen to in my car.
Well, right.
Yes. But as far as being like, I think I'm going to invite her to Thanksgiving. What do you guys think? Do you think she'll bring Trav? Like, that's not happening.
Right.
That's not happening.
I couldn't. And not only that, but this woman who's posting, she was calling her Bailey. I'm like, you don't even fucking her name right.
Oh, God.
So anyway.
Good
for Bailyn.
Okay, well, a lot has happened since the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I was gone.
We're going to start with the fact that we all know that my dog died.
Yes.
And then...
you guys did talk about that, I assume.
Oh, yeah. I'm not over it, but yes.
No,
yes.
I'm still not over my cat, and he died last year.
You know what? We talked about it.
Him. I still think I hear his meow when I come in the room.
I swear I hear Bodega talking.
Tell you.
I swear.
It's
and I'm
the
like,
weirdest thing.
Is Sasha talking? And they're like, no.
It's your mind.
So Sasha is already kind of an odd duck. My other husky, she's 5.
Yeah.
And we expected her to struggle. And she has been. And every week it's something new. Like she's self-soothing in different ways. It's very weird. She's never been right. Like since the day we got her, when I called the person that I adopted her from, and I said, "What is wrong with this puppy? There's something wrong with this puppy." She's like, "Oh, she'll be all right. Just give her a lot of love, hold her a lot." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll do all of that." But this dog literally turns into like a statue. She's frozen. Like I can't.
In fear.
Yeah, she's so afraid, and she's constantly wanting to hide. She doesn't like people. She's not aggressive though.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's what's so weird about her. So anyway, I said, we need to take her to the vet. Something's not right. I just want to make sure that she's okay.
Yeah.
So we took her to the vet, and I said, they have doggy Prozac. They have anti-anxiety for dogs. So we took her. She's lost almost 10 pounds since Bodega died. That's a lot.
Yeah, it
like
is.
a lot. The vet was like, this is alarming. She goes, we got to do blood work because what if she has something wrong and we don't know? So we're like, okay. They couldn't even get her to release her leg so they could take blood. She was
so stiff.
frozen. She turned into like this little ball of fur.
Poor baby.
So they had to take her in back and do it. And they're like, she's so sweet. Like she's the sweetest
and
dog.
she is the most beautiful dog.
And she's beautiful,
God,
but she's like, oh, you guys have had such a rough year. The vet doesn't know my life completely, but she knows that we lost the dog, and she loved Bodega. She goes, I remember Bodega. I loved him so much. He was such a good boy. And I'm like, I'm like crying at the vet. I said, well, can we give this dog anti-anxiety meds? She goes, we can. She goes, I'm leery because she's like, I think she has some behavioral issues that aren't related to anxiety. Like there's something else. So based on everything, I started Googling.
Yeah.
She's going to get some anti-anxiety meds because I'm going to give her the lowest dose because I'm concerned that she will have a reverse effect and she'll get like worse. And I want you to talk to someone who knows more about the behavioral part of dogs.
They have therapists for dogs.
Well, that's what she was basically referring me to. So I came home and I did a bunch of research. I think Sasha's autistic.
Oh.
And I am not kidding.
It could so be.
So the reason I told Daryl, I'm like, I think our dog's autistic. He's like, what? I go, yeah, I do. And he goes, why? I go, she has not once obeyed a command, and I've trained all of our dogs.
Yeah.
She doesn't obey commands. I can get her to sit, but when I go to give her a treat, she backs up and moves away. She won't stay. She won't. She will not come in. If you tell her to come in, she looks at you like you're speaking Japanese.
Yeah.
It's really weird. She does not like eye contact. All these weird things. She's not aggressive.
No.
But she does not like people.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And so everything I'm looking at, I go, I think she's autistic. And I think that's why we're going to be going to this therapist in Roseville.
Oh, for God's sakes.
But there's nothing to do. And so she called me this morning and she's like, yeah, she's completely healthy.
Good.
There's nothing wrong with her. So I'm going to send you a referral to this behaviorist. She's a vet, but she kind of specializes in this kind of case. And I'm like, fine.
You're doing it so that she has a better quality of life.
Well,
I keep telling you need to get another dog. I know you don't want to hear that, but
we're still literally crying on a daily.
no, I get it. I get it. I just,
yeah.
I learned that lesson with my dog, and I regretted it so bad.
So yesterday, I turned to Daryl and I said, we're going to have to get another dog. And he said, I can't get a puppy. And I go, me neither. But we've just got to get through.
You can get a young dog. It doesn't have to be a puppy. There are so many dogs.
We're really hopeful that we can put it off for like at least another month or so.
Oh, yeah.
Just because we have a lot of family things going on and we just cannot have.
After all these weddings.
Once everybody's married, then we can get a dog.
When you're not going to be traveling constantly and not have to be at home. And oh my gosh,
honestly.
It's a lot of work to get a second dog. Trust me, I know. I'm still dealing with my second dog.
Mike.
Hey, Mike. Mikey. But, I'm going through some stuff too. And my dogs have lost their damn minds.
Oh, really? They're just not recovering?
I cannot... It's only been 2.5 weeks.
Well, do you want to tell the people what's going on? I don't really want you to...
No. I mean, it will give some context, but we're talking about our dogs and how sensitive they really are.
They are very sensitive.
To their surroundings and their environment and their people and all of that. So, my husband died very unexpectedly on the 25th of January.
Yeah.
And my dogs, a lot of people told me, oh, your dogs will go through, their own...
They grieve.
And I didn't think that were 100% true because I'm just like, well, they're smart and they're intuitive and all of those things, but it has been literal hell. It has been hell.
Well, and what sucks is that you're dealing with your own trauma.
I am dealing with my own grief. So I think part of maybe what they're going through is recognizing what my son and myself are going through. So they're obviously missing a human and everything is different.
Well, their schedule is completely different.
Everything's different.
Yes.
They have to be home alone while we work in school. And
they have each other though.
They do. But I mean, I'm thinking about they've never not been home with a human ever.
That's right.
So
they're used to
for more than a couple of hours, or whatever. But
we need an adult.
They are just used to having their dad home. So it's been, but they drive me. I can't even do laundry. Like I go out to the garage and I'm doing laundry. By the way, in California, it's been in the 30s.
Yeah, it's freezing.
It's fucking freezing.
Yeah.
So I'm not leaving the garage door from the kitchen open so that they can see me while I'm doing laundry.
They need a visual.
That's what they want. And so when I shut the door to go out there and put the washer and the dryer switch, whatever, they stand at the door and they're like, hey, and it's not just like little, they are yiping.
They are very upset.
They're like, oh my God, like open the door, it's crazy. I can't take the trash out. I can't go to the bathroom. I can't shower. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
So it's been horrible. And I'm really like, God, please get over it.
I know. The hardest part with this, because I've been with you as much as humanly possible.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The hardest part is being, you feel, and I don't know if you've experienced this with friends or others, but I feel this weird guilt about having any kind of sadness or grief because I'm like, my husband did not die tragically.
No.
Because this was not like he was hospicing.
No.
It was a sudden loss and it was chaotic and horrifying and
traumatic.
All I want to do is be like, how do I remove this suffering from my sister who's basically me? How do I take that from her? Because that's all I can do, but I can't.
There's nothing you can do.
It's the hardest thing to watch. And I know that I've been through some stuff that where you're the same and you're like, what can I... Nothing.
The pain is so,
Being a witness to that kind of suffering is torture.
It is.
But you feel selfish thinking about it because you think you're making it about yourself.
I get that.
But you're not. It's it's a cumulative family horror.
Well, I mean, it's one of the things that makes you so connected, and I don't think... True. Honestly, we as a family have not experienced a very intimate death. No, this is our first, in my mind.
No, you're right. It is.
Of somebody who was really, really close, like
a spouse. We've never lost a spouse.
We've never. Our parents are still living. All our children. Yes. We've never gone through something so close.
And our grandparents, we weren't that close to them.
We weren't. I mean, we
were, but not to the point where we'd be like,
not like this. So, and that's sad. We've talked about that, how much we've always hated that we didn't have close relatives.
I know.
So I always knew that if anybody in our inner circle were ever to go through something like this, it would be like the worst thing ever.
And it was. Yeah, it was awful.
It literally is awful.
When I was talking to the chaplain, because there's all these protocols when someone passes away at home. And so I'm talking to these chaplains because you went in to do what you were doing. And I'm like, we need an adult. And they look at me and they were alarmed.
Like, what are you talking about?
And I'm like, I go, we don't know what we're doing.
I did not know what I was doing.
Like, I mean, I have no clue what to do for her. What they're like, well, you just need to breathe. I'm like, stop telling me to breathe.
I'm breathing. Yeah.
Jesus, I get it. But like, what else?
Yeah.
What's the steps?
Well, and that's the thing is like, I'm sure that there's people who have gone through this and have learned all these really hard lessons about, when somebody that you love dies in this way and that you have no planning and you're not able to think about anything and nobody's there to tell you. And when you go through it, it's like these people have done it a million times. The people, the EMTs and the chaplains and all the people that you are interacting with, they're so used to it that they just like, well, you'll figure it out.
They have sympathy, but for sure. But they're like, like you said, they've
done it a million times.
Yes.
And they don't even think to tell you the things you don't know,
because it's not their job.
Right.
Which sounds harsh.
No, it doesn't. But because I work for the government and I work with the public and I have to remind myself that the people that I'm helping don't know, they don't have my brain, my experience, my knowledge. And I have to remind myself to tell them things that are so routine and normal to me. Because they literally don't know. Yeah, they've never done it before.
The only thing that I knew, is when we were at the funeral home. And I don't even remember. Oh, I knew this because Daryl's mom, when she lost her husband, which was not
horrible.
Like this.
Yeah.
It was
no.
It was not. It was
well.
Very
I mean, he was
different.
90, but
they
it was
were
still
like,
terrible, by the way.
They were like, oh, of course. Loss is loss. It's awful. And it doesn't matter how old they are. It's terrible. But somebody said, you're going to need a lot of death certificates. And I'm like, okay. So all I could remember from that meeting was turning to you going, get 5. And you're all 5. And I'm like, just get 5. And you're like, okay, I guess
a good round number.
I guess I want 5. And she goes, all right, well, you can start with 5. I'm like, what? You need more than that?
Well, I mean, she's probably looking at us like we're like the most normal people in the world, but she doesn't realize that we literally possess nothing. We own nothing, you know. I mean, I don't have a lot. What am I going to turn one into PG&E, like to get it out of his name?
Apparently, you
right?
do. Who knew?
Stuff like that. But really, like, I'm not going to be going through this long estate process of having to prove his death over and over and again. No.
But it's like, but Daryl, and he must have repeated himself a million times. He goes, "You don't understand. I had to present my father's death certificate 4 times to the cable company."
I'm telling you,
and I'm like, "All right,
I get
okay,
it. Yeah, and he's right. And there's no harm in getting them, and I have them now, so it gives me peace knowing that I have them if I need them.
5? That's all I remember.
My son read it like it was an encyclopedia. You know.
You know what? Isn't that fascinating?
He needs
data.
He does.
Yeah.
He really needs information, and he needs.
Fair.
And you know what I appreciate? That he's a lot like you.
Oh.
I'm noticing through this process. Like I know he has emotion, and I know that he's definitely grieving his dad, but there's something about his brain that needs, like you said, he needs data, he needs information, he needs facts, he needs to know, you know.
Yeah.
And everything's very logical to him.
Yes.
Yeah. So
interesting.
I'm glad that I've learned that about him, because I'm like that too, but not to the point that he is. I think I'm very logical.
Well, yeah, but for you were just like, I need the why and I need it now.
Yeah, and I found out like days.
Yeah,
like
and it was killing you. You're like, I need to know why. I
mean, I knew why,
but you needed someone who would know to tell you.
There were things that as a spouse that you want to know because you just can't make peace with it unless you know.
Yeah.
You know, like it would have ruined me, you know, never knowing did he suffer? Could I have saved him? Is there anything I could have done? You know, I needed to know those things. And I have not been satisfied hearing them one time. I've had to hear them multiple times from different people, from different perspectives, from different doctors, from my friends, you know, from you, from everybody.
And then it's just a matter of coming to peace with the fact that that is true.
And it was true.
Yes.
And I feel good about that. Good. You know, we're 2.5 weeks in. So now I'm just like, there's literally nothing I could have done that I didn't try.
Yeah.
You know,
the only thing that there's been another thing I should say that I've hated about this whole process is the fact that no one gives you a beat. No one gives you a minute.
Yeah.
Like,
the world spins so fast.
And even when you're dealing with this incredible emotional upheaval.
Yeah.
And you have a child and you have family that are just insistent upon being intrusive. Then it's like,
we could do 10 shows.
Can I please just have 5 minutes to take a breath and figure my shit out?
Well, you know what's interesting?
And the world says, no, you can do it later because we really need you to
or do it when you're not
this.
at work, or do it when you're not like in my presence, or, you know, you have time, you know.
It's not like the movies where they let you sit in your room for 10 days.
And everybody's surrounding you.
No. They don't do that. They don't bring you. And like, where are the fucking narcotics? Can I get a Xanax?
Something.
For this person? Can we please give her a value?
Because I might get addicted and sue someone.
Stupid.
God forbid that we ease someone's suffering.
So
with
it's
modern...
definitely not like terms of endearment, I guess, is my point.
No, it really isn't. And one of the things that I was going to say is that with very, very few exceptions, and the people who have not surprised me are people I'm not surprised haven't surprised me.
Yeah.
Is the level of selfishness that human beings generally are. And I'm not even pinpointing any one person.
No, it's just in general.
Just
it
generally
is a general
speaking,
consensus that
people are very self-serving.
If they can make it about themselves, they will.
Yes.
They will.
But I have been, you know, really lucky that there have been some people that I didn't even really know that well. Not that I didn't know them, but not in a real intimate basis, like that type of relationship, that have really shocked me at how present and connected that they were and understood. And it's usually because they went through something.
Yes.
And they're like, I so know what you're going through.
I know exactly what you're going through.
Yeah. And we may not know each other on that, like we don't know each other's relatives or friends.
Right.
But I get it.
There's something in their eye or their face.
They just know.
Right?
And it's very reassuring.
Yeah. Because you're like, so I'm not on an island.
No.
This has happened.
But what it makes me feel bad about is all the interactions that I've had with people where I was truly expressing my deepest condolences to that person, but I didn't get it.
Well, no,
I literally didn't get it.
I know.
And I know what they were going through because you go through the motions and you really try to put on a brave face and you try, you know, you're at work, I'm a professional, goddammit. You know, I'm not going to sit here and bawl. You know, I'm going to do my job and I'm still going to do it well. But inside you just, you know, you go into the bathroom and you like want to crumple.
Yeah, you're like, can I just go home and die now?
That's all you want to do. And you can't.
No. It's been a harrowing month for you, for sure.
It's been 2.5 weeks.
Well, it feels like
it was 2 weeks on Saturday and it's Wednesday.
Oh my goodness. You know what, Stephanie? I just don't remember a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but I don't. You know
I
what
get
I
it.
mean? Like, I'm trying to.
I remember every minute since it's happened, but that's because it's my life.
I'm just trying to like, because I remember they said, write everything down because you're going to forget. And I'm like, okay, I will. And I started writing everything down. And then, but like I said, it's just everything goes so quickly every day.
It does.
It's another
because
thing.
time just keeps pressing on.
God, and I remember I was telling Daryl, I said, there was a time when I found comfort in the fact that life continues.
Yeah.
There's something secure about the fact that your world is falling apart.
Yeah.
And you're very aware of it, but that tomorrow the sun's going to come up. You're going to go check your mail. You're going to, and there's sometimes there's comfort in that. I mean, not in the beginning.
No, you're not wrong.
But there is something.
When you say the beginning, I'm like the first 48 to 72 hours were excruciating.
Yes.
Being awake, being alert, being alive was awful.
Yes.
But then it did subside, then you do fall back into the routine of your life, or you try,
You're just like, okay.
You try. Well, you have to a degree, because you can't leave the garbage sitting there. And
when you're a mom,
all the things.
All of it.
I mean, I remember the first time I took the trash out, I could smell something rotting in there. And that's never happened to me in my life. Because I wasn't thinking about it. And I was like, what is that smell? I'm like, oh, you have to... Stephanie, you have to take the trash out. Like these things have to keep happening.
Yeah. So it's almost like a nice, interesting distraction to your suffering, I guess.
Yeah.
For a minute.
Well, I'm one of those people that I have like a checklist in my mind. And if I just keep following the list and keep checking off the things that need to happen, then I can just keep moving forward.
Just got to do 1 minute at a time sometimes. Is
totally.
The professionals say.
So that is why I was gone so long. It was a legitimate reason. I've had other reasons in the past.
Well, you better bring a doctor's snout.
Right.
I want a doctor's snout. So on to other things that are not nearly as pressing, but the Super Bowl happened.
Well, so many things have happened in the last few weeks. And if I wasn't like grieving and my spouse, they would have been such fun things to talk about.
I know. Well, the Super Bowl came and went, and it went the way I wanted. I know your son was texting going, my mom wants the Chiefs to win. And I'm like, first of all, Raider fans don't want the Chiefs to ever win.
No, I wasn't wanting them to win as a Raider fan.
I will say this. It's hard when you're a Swiftie and you want Kelsey to do well.
There are so many reasons why I'm always pulling for Taylor because she is so... People are so fucking mean to her for absolutely no reason.
She got booed.
For no reason.
She got
People
booed.
hate her with a white hot heat that is so irrational to me.
Is it because she's normal and nice?
Because she's successful and she's
a
woman.
It pisses me off. I'm like, you know what? I will not stand for this. I mean, there's nothing I'm going to do about it.
No.
But it just pisses me off. I'm like,
me too.
Fucking Travis goes to the Eras Tour multiple times. And what happens?
Many.
They're cheering. They're so excited.
Yes.
And then she goes to the games and they're like, I'm sick of her. I don't want to see her. And I'm like, what? God,
they showed her, I think they said it was 4 seconds for the entire Super Bowl. She got 4 seconds. Now, by the way, there were a billion celebrities at the Super Bowl.
So many. Did Anne Hathaway get booed?
No. And they showed them all because that's what they do.
That's what the Super Bowl is, a come see.
They do it at the Lakers games too. You know what I mean? Or like, and when they go to the NBA finals, that they always pan the celebrities. But God forbid that they pan the world's most famous woman right now, who's made more money than God in the last few years. And people are like, "We're sick of her." I'm like, "Well, I'm sick of you.
I want to see her."
You hate people for no reason.
I wanted to see her. I like her.
Yeah, and you know what? I could tell by the way she dressed that she was really trying to like be as subtle as she possibly could.
A lot of women wore white, and I was like, I thought it was because the Chiefs wore white.
Maybe.
That's what I thought. But there was like, well, it could be suffragette coded because Trump was there. And I'm like, that's possible. Because Lady Gaga wore white too. But I'm like, I just don't think it was that deep.
I don't think it was that deep either. I think Taylor truly is like, look, I'm going to support my man.
Yes.
And she didn't glam up like she hasn't. There's been other games that were like totally benign where she looked fucking amazing.
Yeah,
like,
she wore fur
Chanel head to toe.
Yeah, like she wore cutoffs and a tank top.
So of all the things, it was clear to me that she was like, look, I just want to be invisible and be here and enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah, like
it
really.
was so insane. And I really very much enjoyed her. I don't understand the world's beef with her going to support her boyfriend.
But you know what? It's not the first time they've been irrational about somebody for no reason at all. So whatever.
Anyway,
why do people still like Kanye? Why?
Oh my God, he's so horrible.
He's like the fucking devil walking, and that man has billions of dollars and people who worship him.
I feel like if you're a billionaire, with a couple of exceptions to the rule, and you're a man, you're a bad person. I just don't.
Yeah, because of the way they get their money. Yeah.
There are 3 women that I can think of that are billionaires who literally give away millions and millions and millions of dollars a day to good causes to make the world a better place. I have yet to see a billionaire male do anything great.
Yeah.
Bill Gates, maybe.
He certainly has tried.
And he has really made efforts to divorce himself from that crew because, he knew Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, they all did.
And he's just
Tom Brady knew Jeffrey Epstein.
Everybody did. But it's like, so he's trying really hard. I think he learned a hard lesson when his wife divorced him. And so he's like
the better of the two. Yeah.
Yes. And so I think
the woman is always the better of the two.
Melinda is the shit.
I love her.
Her and Mackenzie Bezos.
Yeah.
Does she even go by Bezos anymore?
I don't know.
I don't even know. I wouldn't. I'd have nothing. I'd be like, as formerly known as, but I
would slip off into the sunset with my billions of dollars or whatever they got out of the divorce, and I would just never be known again. I mean, I would do my philanthropy and all that.
Yeah,
stuff
and she does. Like every time someone's talked shit about her, she donates another $1 billion to some women's fund. I fucking love it.
And those women earned every fucking dime they got out of those divorces.
They did.
Because their men would not be who they are. I'm sorry.
100%.
We've raised men. 100%. We know how that goes.
It's so true.
So I'm never going to say that about a woman.
I'm just like, all I know is that I'm very excited to see Taylor take a break.
Yeah.
And as she has been. And then whatever happens after that, I'm
barely
so happy.
Like, she literally finished her tour in Canada in January. So, I mean, it's been a month, that she's not been working.
This has been the longest 2025 of my life. Like it just won't end.
Next year when we're in 2026, which is so hard to imagine right now, but
I don't know if we're going to make it.
We'll make it. But I mean, it will be like one of those things where you look back on, because I mean, I was pretty much ready for 2024 to be over, not that it was bad.
No, it wasn't great.
But it wasn't great.
For me, it wasn't great. Mentally, I was a shit year. I don't know why. It just was. I mean, and
it was just a heavy year.
I mean, I did a lot of really fun things last year, but by the end of the year, I was telling Daryl, I'm like, I just feel like I was not myself.
For whatever the reason.
Personal, I just felt like I just struggled a little bit. And it could be because I'm officially an empty nester now.
Yeah, like that's true. You guys did go through a lot of changes.
And there's been a ton of life changes. And they're good.
Yeah.
But it was very taxing.
Well, change is difficult.
Period.
Even if it's good change, it's taxing. So I agree.
So true.
So now we start, 2020 off with a bang. 2025. So we just got to get through it. And this is what I keep telling my child, because that we just have to get through. I mean, and not to keep dragging this back in, but it's just so relevant that my son is in middle school, which is literally like torture. Middle school,
worst.
It's the worst.
I hated middle school.
He's in 7th grade, for God's sake.
I told him that too. I don't know what your mom has told you. I said, but I was bullied all through 7th grade.
Yes,
and it was the worst time of my life.
I was too.
I couldn't wait to get out of it.
Yeah.
And then 8th grade came, and it's like everything changed.
It will.
I don't know what that is, but at least for me, who was bullied, all of a sudden I wasn't bullied. I had boys like me.
Yeah. I think there's a maturity level that changes. 7th grade is like they really are on the cusp of like they're still a child, but they're kind of not, and they're, all of that stuff.
It's true.
So yeah, I think there is a maturity difference in 8th grade, and then obviously moving forward into high school, it really changes. But my worry is that my son has gone through such a huge upheaval with the loss of his father that I don't want it to change fundamentally, like what his life is going to look like for the next 5 years while he's in school.
He is such a remarkable kid.
Yeah,
that I think so. I think he's going to be okay. Plus, he's got a pretty cool set of family members who have not let up. We're all constantly giving him the business, and he loves it.
He does,
which I think is so great.
He really does.
So yeah, I mean, I'm optimistic, I should say.
Same.
I'm
No, I am
optimistic.
too. I don't think anything, I'm not.
It's very early on.
It's just for me, yeah, it's obviously a fear, and it's
100%.
becoming more real, as time goes on and all that stuff.
It.
So yeah.
We'll just do the work and figure out how to make it the best possible outcome for him, whatever that means. Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, okay, so this is not related. I saw some TikTok, and I'm enjoying TikTok as much as possible because I know it's going away soon.
Is it?
April is.
Are we back to that?
Well, it was a temporary stay.
I did not know.
Yeah, like you can't even download it on. If you get a new phone, you can't get it.
Oh no.
So I'm like, well, I guess I'm just not going to get a new phone.
Well, thank God, mine's only a year old.
Right, mine's old, but whatever. I have heard this before, but it had been a long time. It's kind of this thing where people are classified as 3 different types of things. You're either a spoon, a knife, or a fork.
Oh.
And it's basically fairly self-explanatory. A knife is
Are
sharp.
We knives?
I think so.
I would say. I mean, that was my first inclination.
Spoon would be
I'm definitely not a spoon.
A spoon is kind of like Daryl. Producer Dub is a spoon. He's very generous, very warm. And it takes a lot for him to hate somebody.
Yeah.
He tries to see both sides of the coin, which is why he wants to be with a knife is beyond me.
Well,
I think it's because he appreciates that someone
yin and yang. Well, I mean, I've had people tell me that, even I hate to say this, but my husband used to say, you're so mean and your tongue is so sharp. He goes, but what's so weird about you is he's like, you are such a sweetheart inside.
It's true.
And I'm like, don't say that.
How
don't
dare
say
you?
it out loud.
I'm offended.
Don't let anybody hear you. Yeah.
That's
so
exactly
I do
it.
believe that there are people who know us intimately and who we've allowed to know us intimately.
He goes, you're the most generous, you're the most thoughtful person I've ever met. And I'm like, okay.
And he's not wrong. So.
Shut up.
So you are a knife, but you're a
with a
knife.
spoon inside. Hey, that's not nice. That's mean.
I'm a butter knife too.
Anyway, I think a fork is kind of like a worker.
A cake spatula. No, I'm just kidding.
God, I'm a machete. But I thought it was funny, and I'm like, so I'm trying to think. I'm like, I think my son is a spoon.
Oh my God.
But a fork is a fork is like the worker. Like they get stuff done. They're very straightforward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think Malia is a fork. I think Jeff is a spoon.
I think Malia's a spoon. Well, I don't know. Maybe she's a spork. She's kind of the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? She does definitely have her spicy qualities. Yeah. But she's also a very loving little human.
Do you know what I love about my daughter? She's the baby, of course.
Yeah.
Is that she is the only one that leans into the hug. Jeff does that too.
Oh my God.
But Tyler and Mackenzie, my 2 oldest ones, they hug me with this rigor, this firm.
They're like Legos.
I love you, and I'm like, I love you too. Whereas Malia just lays into me like a baby does. And I'm oh God, I forgot that she was like that. Oh my God, it's so nice. Yeah. No wonder everyone likes you.
Right?
It's so funny.
That's so true.
Anyway, okay, so before we wrap it up for the week, happy birthday. I know. You're 29, number 1.
Oh my God, my OB. He's like, so yesterday I had my annual, or not my annual, my centennial. Anyway, I had my well women visit, and so he was doing all the things, and of course, when you become a certain age, menopause always comes up, and I had questions. I brought it up, he didn't,
of course,
but I just said, well, I think I'm premenopausal. I'm not sure. I go, but I thought I was, and I went 3 months without having a period, and then it came back, and it's been regular again, for the last 3.
That's how that works.
Yeah, and he's like, you still have your period? The way he said it,
you're like,
I was like, yes. I laughed. I go, I'm 51. I go, my birthday's tomorrow. He's like, oh, happy birthday. And I'm like, stop it. I'm like, you already said I was old, so quit. He's like, no, I go, well, my sister is a patient of yours as well. I'm like, and we are about 2 years apart, a little bit more.
Yeah.
I go, and she is just in menopause. I go, so I think, we're trying to figure out genetically where we fall.
Yeah, because our mom, everybody had hysterectomies.
Right.
It was the flavor of the month to do back in the 70s, apparently, or 80s.
Right. I go, so I feel like, time-wise, I'm kind of where she was.
You are.
At my age.
Yes.
So, there you go.
Yes. And we're so close. We're really pretty close in age, so it's that's kind of what's going to happen. It sucks. I told Daryl I'm writing a book. about it. I'm sick of it. Everything you read, it's first of all, it's so wordy and so boring. And you're like, if you just want to know what's going on.
Logical, like tell me.
Do you remember The Care and Keeping of You? Did you get one for Lauren? It's about puberty. It's a.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I got one. I got one for my kids too. My daughters when they were like 10, and they were first of all they're like, "How dare you give us this? We don't want to know about anything." And yes, kids have no interest. And I'm like, "Look, I know you get the health class, but it's nothing compared."
You weren't like that. You kind of wanted to know everything, right?
Oh God, no. I had mom's like, "I wanted to talk to you about how you make babies." Like, no. I was literally, and she like, Stephanie, she made like a penis like with her hand. Like she did like a shape.
No.
And how it can go into a woman's body. And I was like,
I think she did that to me too.
Well, stop talking.
Oh my God.
I hated it.
Why did she feel that necessary?
I don't know, but her neck was red. You know what? One of her hippy dippy friends said, "Your children don't know how babies are made. You're going to let them go out into the world and think that they were just come out of the sky?"
Well, if you don't teach your kids, then they're going to learn it the hard way. Yeah, exactly. You don't want them to learn from a stranger. Their friends.
So she sat down with her.
Why? That's normal.
Oh, jeez. I swear to God. And I'm like, okay, I got it. Thanks.
Remember, Mom said that I was 4, and I asked her. She has told me this story so many times because she's like, you were 4 years old, and you came to me, and you're like, Mom, how do babies get made? And she was like, well, you know, it's a blessing from God. And
shut up.
Because I was basically a baby, you know.
You were a small child.
And she's like, and then I was like, no. How do they get in there? I want the deets.
I want the science.
And she was like, I'm like, so what did you do? She goes, well, I told you. And I'm like, you know, I just don't know if that's 100% necessary.
I don't think she would get it.
My son wanted to see his dad's dead body, and I kind of had to make an executive decision. Like, no, we're not going to do that. You know,
I don't think that's necessary.
I don't.
As the adult, you kind of have to make a call.
At some point, you have to make a call.
Yeah, you can't give it all to the kid
just because they ask and they want to know.
No, or you just have to infantilize.
Well, right. Yeah. But no, she didn't. She did. She probably did the thing with her hands and all that. I don't remember. Thank God.
Our mom is so weird.
So grateful.
I don't know.
Remember.
I don't know I don't even know. I don't know.
She just said she was so shocked that she was like, "What the hell?"
Stephanie, I asked our mother if she knew what a blowjob was when I was in 7th grade.
Why did you think she didn't?
Stephanie, I was one of the most naive humans I've ever met in my life. I didn't even know what gay was until I graduated from high school.
Oh my God.
And then when I went back,
I don't remember if I did.
When I figured out what gay was, because our parents were just not, they were not about that life. No. There was nothing.
Yeah.
When I did learn that homosexuality was a thing, now I look back and go, oh, so people I went to school with or celebrities or whatever, I'm like, to me, it was like a whole world opened up.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I know I'm not gay, but I love this.
Right.
This is pretty cool.
That's true. Wow, that's funny.
It was really neat to me. I mean,
think about that.
I thought it was neat. Anyway, so yeah, I remember I said something once and they're like, how did you know I wasn't gay? And I'm like, I didn't think about it. And they're like, they were almost offended that that I couldn't tell.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, if I didn't have the knowledge, how would I know?
You wouldn't.
I know now, and if I met you now, I'd be like, "Oh, hi, how are you, gay man?"
Yeah,
or whatever.
Exactly.
But I didn't know.
No, I get it.
Anyway,
I don't believe I did either. Actually, I never thought about it before until now.
Anyway, that's it. So have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.